can't be at the state fair, so why not meet up with some coaches and athletes among the Golden Gophers? We can't be on that state fair stage like we usually are, but we want to bring you the teams, preview what's coming up, talk about what the summer was like, because certainly it has been a unique stretch. And we're going to do women's golf right now. Michelle Redman is the head coach of the Golden Gophers. And first of all, Coach, good to see you. I wish we could be sitting at that stage on the state fairgrounds and maybe sharing some of that great state fair food. But I guess because we can't, this is as good as anything, huh?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us, Mike. We're excited to talk to you. We sure miss being at the fair. It's kind of one of those things you don't really realize how much you miss it and how much a part of your August it is until you actually can't go. So this is fun that we're doing this and still able to connect.
And we'll let folks know a little bit more about your team. We have Grace Curran, who makes a return visit. She was on one of our Gopher Talks earlier in the summer after she won the women's match play in Minnesota. And Annabelle Ackroyd, another Gopher golfer, who is right now in Canada, right? You're not even in the United States.
Yeah, I'm still home in Calgary, Alberta. So, yeah.
Has it snowed yet? Or are you okay?
No, luckily not. A lot of hail and rain and thunder, but we're getting some nicer weather, so that's kind of exciting for here.
Well, we want to talk about golf here in a moment and how this unique summer has been, especially with golf, because I think you guys obviously have been able to get out and play, unlike maybe some of your classmates at Minnesota whose sports were completely wiped out even from a training standpoint. But before we do that, Annabelle, I'd be interested in knowing in Canada, I mean, with what we've been going through with this health pandemic, and when you talk to your friends here in the United States, can you tell a difference in terms of attitude, in terms of how the country's gone about trying to prevent the spread of the virus? So what's it like in Canada, I guess, is my question.
Yeah, I've noticed a little bit of a difference, like even talking to coach and our teammates. Here, masks aren't mandatory. Which is like a big thing I know that are starting in the States. And I think that we were in kind of a quarantine period for a lot longer. And like all of our major tournaments here for golf were canceled. So we only had like a handful of events. So like it seems like we're in a good place and like life is going on as normal. But like a lot was canceled and then they didn't try to like make it happen again. But it's not bad here. Like everybody, like our rate of infection is pretty good. So it's pretty good here.
Yeah, very good. And Grace, you're in Illinois, correct?
I am, yes.
And I remember when we chatted, you were able to get out and golf, and obviously you came back up to Minnesota and won that match play in that exciting playoff hole. What have you been able to determine, just even maybe differences from that virus from maybe your time in Minnesota to what's happening in your home state? Have you noticed differences of how it might be handled?
A little bit. I've noticed everybody's trying to start to get out a little bit more, but obviously still taking the precautions such as wearing the mask, making sure we're washing our hands all the time. But I would say a lot more people are becoming more comfortable with going about their normal life with, like I said, taking the proper precautions.
Yeah. You guys have both been able to make it onto the course, and I think you guys have a unique perspective there because, as I mentioned, many of your classmates, whether it's football players or hockey players or basketball players, for a number of months couldn't even get into a rink or a gym or even go in and lift weights. They were doing push-ups or pull-ups or cartwheels or whatever it was to try to stay in shape. And yet you guys were a little bit lucky in that you got to go out because your sport kind of has a social distancing aspect to it anyway. How fortunate, Annabelle, do you feel that you were able to get out and one, play practice rounds and work on your game, and two, I mean, you won the Alberta Junior Girls Championship, so you had a success as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're really lucky to play golf because we can use it as like an outlet, especially during that time when not a lot was going on, but golf courses were open. So I think I know a lot of athletes were struggling not being able to like compete in their sports or practice or do anything, but we were able to like play our sport and go out for many hours on the course. So I think I feel really lucky that we had that outlet, especially during like a global pandemic with a lot going on, like to go back to what we're comfortable with. And just like be with ourselves on the golf course. So yeah, it worked out well for us golfers.
Yeah,
Really fun.
and you're getting a chance to work on your game as well, and you're having success. As we mentioned, Grace, you won the match play here, and we talked about that on our Gopher Talk. But for fans who maybe missed that wonderfully compelling content, let's kind of recap that excitement on that last playoff hole, and you birdied the hole, and that was in June. Take us through that final playoff hole.
Oh, well, it was a great event. I was playing against a really great competitor, Catherine Van Aragon. She's from Minnesota, actually. And it was a tight match all through the 18 holes. So then we went to the 19th hole, and I was in trouble off the tee, but was fortunate enough to kind of make a comeback shot and give myself a chance for birdie, which was able to drop. So I won the playoff hole with a birdie, which was super exciting and a fun way to start my summer because that was my first event of the summer.
How much of both of you, and I'll ask Grace first, in terms of being able to just get out and work on your game, have you been able to is there some specifics that you can tell us about in terms of how you're trying to improve your game for when competition in the Big Ten does resume, that you guys are ready to roll on the first tee box? Grace, we'll start with you.
Yes, absolutely. It's been kind of nice. I mean, this whole pandemic has been sort of, like Annabelle said, an outlet, a blessing in disguise for us girls golfers. And we've been able to kind of focus on things that maybe were weaknesses in the spring and in the fall, and kind of focus in on those and see what we need to work on. And we've had the time to do so. So even if we weren't able to necessarily play right in the beginning of quarantine, we were able to either do drills in our basement or maybe go to the course, or at least go to the range, hit balls. Personally, I've really been working on my short game. So my putting stroke and trying to drop a few more putts has been really crucial for me this summer.
And Annabelle, what part of your game have you been specifically working on here this summer?
Yeah, well, thanks to like the pandemic, actually it turned out like a blessing for some of us. And a lot of my friends who played college golf in the States, they were home for a lot of the summer because a lot of the tournaments were canceled. And because of the Canadian border being closed, nobody was able to really travel to the States and compete. So a lot of us were home, like playing matches against each other, and just practicing with your friends and, creating that competitive atmosphere, even like outside of the team. So I've been like working on like, playing matches and trying to go low and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Very good. Well, Coach Redmond, first of all, have you been able to get out and play? How's your game shaping up here in the summer?
Oh, I think my game might be a little rusty. But, with the return here in the fall for practice, I need to start practicing a little bit to get ready for these guys to come back. I haven't – all the tournaments that I was supposed to play and got canceled. So it's been a little different summer for me between no recruiting and no playing. So it's been nice and a little relaxing. I'm still obviously working, but it's been a good summer. But I am missing the golf, and I'm missing these guys and watching them play.
Yeah, no doubt. How excited are you, though? I mean, we hear Annabelle and Grace talk here, and I know you've got some other really good young players, Emma Carpenter to name one, and a few more. I don't want to leave anybody out, but you really have a nucleus of some exciting things. So I would guess there's a bittersweet aspect, the excitement of just even listening to this, but then the bitter part of we can't go out and compete in tournaments quite yet. You hope that comes quickly, but you have to be excited about the future and what this team and how you've assembled this roster of players.
I am really excited. I think we have a great group of young ladies. They're all really great students as well as athletes. And the freshmen have had a really good summer. I mean, they've worked really hard on their games. They've played a lot of tournaments. We've had some of our upperclassmen play in tournaments as well. I'm really excited for the direction that the program is headed. And they're, like I said, they're great. They're not just great golfers, they're great young ladies, and they're going to do a lot of great things.
Well, as we talk here for the State Fair interview, obviously we're into late August, looking ahead to early September. What is the plan, Coach, to get everybody back on campus again without the actual competitions? I'm sure you'd like to still have some in-person instruction. What is the tentative plan here to get everyone back, if they can come back, or will this be a distance learning thing for the foreseeable short term here?
Well, we have most of our players coming back, so I'm excited about that. I told the girls when I first found out that we weren't going to have a season this fall that I was actually kind of excited about that, because typically for the fall for us, because we start so late, it starts so quickly that it happens so fast and you can't really work on anything. So we're really going to utilize this fall to work on some technique things that we would not normally have time to work on. And it's kind of a 50-50 chance in the spring whether we can get out on the golf course. So we're going to spend a little bit more time on the course management, getting out on the golf course piece of it. And some of the girls are still going to play in some unattached events as well. So they'll be able to come into the bubble, so to speak, once they've played a couple tournaments, and then some will start right away. So our first week of practice will be the week of, I'm thinking right now, the 14th of September. So I'm excited about that. I think I'm kind of along the lines of what PJ is saying. It's going to be nice to develop them a little bit more and not have this rush, you know, right at the beginning of the fall. I'm sure these two guys would agree that was, there's probably nothing to compare that to.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. So
And-
I'm excited about it. I'm really looking forward to seeing them. I have not seen them since March. So that's a long time.
Well, and as a follow-up, you mentioned these two as freshmen a year ago at this time coming in. I know you have a young freshman coming in as well. A whole different set of circumstances. I mean, unprecedented in terms of what she'll be walking into. Tell us about her and the rest of the recruiting class, and you know, kind of how you try to get them all in and incorporated when there really won't be in-person learning, so to speak, from a classroom standpoint.
Well, I actually think it's going to be really good for the freshmen. I think we have one freshman coming in, Kira Wolf from Illinois, and I know that Grace and Annabelle spent a lot of time with Kira. So I think that for Kira, because of where she is with her game, it's going to be great because she's going to be able to practice a little bit more, and I can get in there and help her with her game a little bit more. And because I haven't been able to watch her play since last summer early, it's going to be really fun for me to kind of just get to know her. Because typically when a person comes in the fall, you kind of wait and see how they're going to play. You don't want to have them make too many changes at the beginning because there are already a lot of changes moving away from home. Your first semester in college, you're living in a dorm, you're meeting new people, you know, so it's going to be nice for that pace to be a little slower. But I also have a good idea of what I'm going to work on with Kira right when she gets here, which normally I would hesitate to do that. I would wait probably till more October to kind of start working on that. I think we'll probably hit the ground running a little bit more. The other thing too is the NCAA changed the rule where we could actually have our incoming freshmen technically be a student athlete once they're graduated from high school and you get their transcript. So Kira has been a part of our Zoom calls all summer, which has been, I think, a really nice integration into the team and kind of makes it a little easier once she gets here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. Yeah, that
Yep.
is part of this pandemic is I think the communication has gotten better, even if it's not in person. You know, I think we're making more just in general, not just as a athletic team, but just in general, making a better effort to try to stay connected to people and doing that. I have a quick question for you, Coach Redmond, in relation to these two. Take us through the recruiting path, because I know, at least in Grace's case, you got her committed very early. What attracted you to her game, and how did you get her attracted to coming to Minnesota?
So Grace came in on an unofficial visit her sophomore year, and it was in the fall. And my assistant was there to meet Grace first, and she had sent me a couple of emails. And so I was on my way down, and my assistant, John Cleary, at the time called me and says, "Michelle, you got to get down here right away. You're going to love this girl." And he was right away. I mean, she just, you know, loves golf. She wants to get better. She is a really, really, really good student. And she's just a great person. And that was the thing that attracted me to Grace. And as I went and watched her play, and I know Grace remembers this well, down in Nashville, just north of Nashville for the first time. And she hadn't even been outside. And that's when I offered her, because I knew where she was going to go with her game. I could see her desire to get better and just her preparation for an event. So that was, I would say, I think that was in March. And then I think Grace committed late April, right before the Big Tens. So it took me some time to convince her. Plus I went and watched her play basketball. That was really fun too. She's a great basketball player. So I went to one of her high school games and watched her play. And then Annabelle she contacted us. I know my assistant had seen her play. So she came in on a visit, and Annabelle has an unbelievable personality, outgoing, loved having her. She's just a great girl, and we went and watched her play a lot of tournaments. She's got a great game, just like Grace. She's an excellent student athlete. I mean, they both have all the characteristics I'm looking for when I'm looking for someone to come to Minnesota. They're both, number one priority, they're great people. Okay. Number two, great students. Number three, golf. And they just do all three of those things really, really, really well.
Yeah, you can tell just in the short time we've spent here, the personalities are popping off the screen, literally.
Yes.
So I have to ask this: a year ago at this time, when you guys were incoming freshmen, both Annabelle and Grace, were you able to make it? Since we're talking about a virtual state fair interview, were you guys able to make it to the Minnesota State Fair, or are you guys still unaware of what the Minnesota Great Get-Together is all about?
We talked about this yesterday, actually. We texted each other when we knew we were both coming on the call, and we're like, we still haven't actually been to the state fair. So Grace texted back and was like, I guess we have to wait till our junior year now, but we can be on the virtual one. So
yeah, so that's too bad. So Coach Redmond, I'll let you kind of describe to your two star players here what this Minnesota State Fair is all about.
Well, knowing these two as well as I know, you guys are going to love the food there. It is fun. And chocolate chip cookies. Yes, Grace, they have ice cream there.
Oh my
But
God.
it's nothing like you've seen. I remember taking my mom to the state fair one year. She's like, oh, I've been to plenty of state fairs. And we got done and my mom could barely get to the car because she was so tired from walking around. And she's like, you're right, the state fair is different. It's really neat. It's a lot of what Minnesota is about, but the food is obviously the number one topic. I mean, that's the thing that I'm missing. So yeah. I've considered, going through those drive-through foods that they're having, so right. It's kind of cool. But you guys are going to love it. And I'm still struggling with, are they still freshmen? Are they still sophomores? Or, are they going to be sophomores? Because They have that extra year of eligibility, fortunately. Right. So, yeah.
And now, as Grace said, they'll have to wait till year 3 to actually go out. Hopefully, we're all back to at least normal then. That a year from now we could be out at the state fair. Coach, what's your favorite food when you go out? Do you have one or two must-stop stands to help make your day enjoyable?
Sweet Martha's cookies. Yeah. They are my favorite. I mean that and I like pork chop on a stick. Those are my two favorites.
I like both those as well. And Grace and Annabelle, the Sweet Martha's cookies, you literally buy them in a bucket. They just scoop them into a bucket, so it's a full bucket of cookies, like $16. It's great. And Sweet Martha's, and you have to get them right away because I think as you walk around, they harden up. But when you get them right off the right, Coach, don't you think you get them right off the baking sheet there? And the other thing you can do is there's a milk place just like 2 blocks away. You walk down there and it's like 50 cents all the milk you can drink, so you can dunk the cookies too if you want.
Yeah, I agree. They're better when they're warm, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, there's all kinds of food. They deep fry candy bars. They deep fry Twinkies. They have turkey legs. They have PJ Fleck's favorite is deep fried olives. So they put this cream cheese around these big olives and deep fry them. There's all kinds of great food. So we're corn on the cob. I mean, you name it, they've got it. So we'll look forward, hopefully next year, that you guys can be actually on the stage. And when we have the actual stage, it's an interview like this, but there'd be obviously patrons of the fair standing by and watching and listening and getting pictures taken. And you guys would probably sign a few autographs and intermingle with the fans. So it's pretty cool. So hopefully next year we can do this in person.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to it.
All right. Very good. Hey, that was fun, really fun. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing everybody on campus here. I know you mentioned everyone's hopefully going to reconvene here in the middle part of September and get some practice time in and build that team chemistry. And hopefully let's keep our fingers crossed we get some competition come the spring.
Agreed. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having us on.
You got it. It was fun. Thanks, guys. So long.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's our State Fair interview.